All right, everybody. Welcome to Truman's Town Hall. I guess I should probably play the tune to start it out.
Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello. This is Matt Truman. Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for sharing with a friend. Today, I'm going to keep it short. But I'm going to play a podcast I did back in 2023 at the end. So, lots of things are happening around the country in the United States, around the world, really. But I'm going to keep it short tonight on this Tuesday Truman's Town Hall. And I'm going to bring up this. I think everyone has been talking about Nick Shirley and his reporting. So let me bring this up real quick.
Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong. And they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. If you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working. Midday, children should be in here, and this place is licensed for 99 children, and this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing. And like I said, they literally spelled the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learning right.
All right. So that was Nick Shirley and his big report. It's everywhere. It's all over social media about Nick Shirley reporting on what's happening in Minnesota. Right now, it's trickling into Ohio because, hey, I'm just now learning. That there is a large Somali population in Columbus, Ohio, just, 50 miles east of where I'm at right now. So maybe Truman's Town Hall takes a drive up there. I don't know, but there was a fellow who did. Let me see if I have that. I hope so. Yeah, there was a fellow up there who did, and I do have it. I'm going to bring it up in just a second. And he's now investigating. So all these folks, they're now investigating Ohio, my home state. Check this out.
We have just reported you to the police, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I'm not breaking any laws.
You are racist.
I'm not.
Huh?
I'm just asking, is this a child care center?
I know who you are.
Okay, is this a child care
You are
center?
terrorist.
I'm a what?
Yeah.
I'm a what? Did you say I'm a terrorist?
You are racist. I know who you are, fucking guy.
We are here at the Bonatti Child Care 2 LLC on Cleveland Ave in Columbus, Ohio at 5 p.m. On a weekday. It says that they are open from 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And, it's 5 p.m. right now, and we'll knock on the door and see if anyone's actually here. Doesn't look like there's anyone that would be here. Certainly not a place that I would want my children, if I had kids, to be. Wait a couple more seconds, maybe give it another knock. Doesn't look like there's anyone that would be here. Certainly not a place that I would want my children, if I had kids, to be. Wait a couple more seconds, maybe give it another knock.
5 p.m.
Don't hear anything, no cars, and it's 5 p.m., so there would be, you would think, lots of pickups going on if this were actually a active childcare center. There is a camera right there, right up there, you see. So they do have some sort of activity going on. There's a boutique right next door, so with Arabic writing on it. There's someone looking through now the corner, so she just popped through. I don't know if she's going to come out or not. I didn't see any kids in there. Don't see any pickups going on. But there was a woman in there, so she did peek through, not opening the door. We'll wait another 10 seconds or so. We'll see. Don't believe they're going to be coming to the door, but there was someone peeking through right through that window. So there are people in there, or at least one person that we know of. Does not appear to be an actual daycare center, though. So should be some investigations going into this soon, hopefully. Hey, man, is this a child care center? Hey, is this a child care center?
Why are you recording?
I'm asking a question. Is this a child care center?
Why are you recording?
Is this a child care center?
No,
It's not?
Stop recording.
It's not our child. Why can't I record?
Stop recording. You're resisting. Why are you recording?
Because I'm curious if this is a child care center.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ohio.
No. Who's into you?
Me, I'm an independent person. I own my own company.
So you are a YouTuber, so you need the social media.
I mean, I represent myself.
We have just reported you to the police, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I'm not breaking any laws.
You are resisting.
I'm not.
Huh?
I'm just asking, is this a child care center?
I know who you are.
Okay, is this a child care
You are
center?
a terrorist.
I'm a what?
Yeah.
I'm a what? Did you say I'm a
You are
terrorist?
resisting. I know who you are. Fucking guy.
You said I'm fucking gay, I guess? Is that what you just said? Are there any kids in there? Is this an actual child care center? Okay. Have a good one.
All right. So that was a video by Thomas Hearn in Columbus, Ohio, which, like I said, is 50 miles up the road from me. In Ohio, like Ohio is a deep red scarlet. Like if you listen to the last podcast I did, Ohio is a deep red state. How's that happening in Ohio? I kind of have a feeling. I think they're kind of the Republicans and Democrats in Ohio, at least. I don't know about your state, but I think that's where the big investigation goes into, is we get filled all the time with these platitudes that, oh no, we're going to do. Look at the Trump administration. What's going on there? Like I felt like things were going to go well. We're going to have the corruption taken out. Doge is gone. Doge isn't looking into this Somalia child care stuff. It's not looking into all the government corruption, all the funds that are just funneling out. Our tax dollars are paying for all this stuff. Not to mention all the wars we're trying to start up now, and all the funding of the foreign governments that we're doing. Or the I guess we could call them the CCP, the communist loans that we gave during COVID. Call them the CCP loans, whatever. It's totally upsetting. So let me bring this up. So this is part of our Ohio Republican Party. The leader, the guy who's in charge of divvying out all the money for Republicans may still be Phil Plummer. Let's pull this up. And then I'm going to play a podcast I did a couple years ago about this whole situation. I was whole hogging for Phil Plummer. Like, yeah, he sounds great. He's a great conservative guy. I even argued with the mayor of Huber Heights back when I talked to him. He's a rhino too now. But he was like, I can't stand Phil Plummer. Phil Plummer. I'm like, dude, Phil Plummer's great. Why can't? I was wrong. He was right. That's one thing. So let me pull this up right here. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at that. McDonald switches parties to challenge Lieberman County Commission. So Mary McDonald was a lifelong Democrat, former mayor of Trotwood. She lost her election running as a Democrat and then decided, I don't know if Phil maybe talked to her. It's possible because she was a social butterfly around the political sphere in my neck of the woods. Trotwood's 30 miles that way, right? Montgomery County. I come from Montgomery County. I now live in Greene County, the home of Mike DeWine, sorry. And so here's what Ezerati, his name's David Ezerati. I talked about this in the last podcast. He puts a thorn in the side of the Democrats, but he is a Democrat, a very liberal guy. He's been on my podcast before. And but he does a lot of great investigative journalism. And he kind of doesn't, he leans left, right? But he does expose the left, which is great. We need more honest people. I don't like if you're left, right, whatever, it doesn't really matter anymore. Obviously, look, McDonald switches parties. And then who comes to save her? Who comes to save her? Phil Plummer, Rodney Creech, they're supposed to be these great Republicans in Ohio. Phil Plummer was the guy handing out all the money for the Republicans. But then when good Republicans run, which I know a few who have ran for city councils, they couldn't get the time of day from the Montgomery County Republican Party. Why? Why? Because they already have their chosen members, like Vivek Ramaswamy, who I'm not going to vote for. I'm not voting for Vivek Ramaswamy. He was a Democrat too. Are we Republicans or are we Democrats? What are we, guys? I don't know. All right. I'll probably get long-winded, so I better just shut up for a minute. Let's see here. I don't know. Let me bring this up. No, that's the same thing. All right. So I'm going to bring up a podcast I did in 2023. I'm going to leave it here. It's 40 minutes long, so if you stick around, great. But it's important. This was the transition. This was when Phil Plummer endorsed a Democrat who switched parties. He also endorsed someone who was not a Republican. Her name was Kate Baker. She lost, but Mary McDonald won. And after she won, she was gallivanting at the Pride Parade and doing all that. And did Phil come out and say anything? No, he couldn't do that. No. Why would he do that? So this was the podcast I did in 2023. I labeled it Republicans Endorsing Democrats. So let's play it. And then I'll see you guys next week. This time, 9:30 p.m. Tuesday, Truman Town Hall. Also, we do a Bible study on Sunday at 9 p.m. Be there or be nowhere.
Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello. This is Matt Truman. Thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for sharing with a friend. Today on this podcast, the first day of December, thank you for downloading. Thank you for sharing with a friend. Please share with a friend. We have a juggernaut of a program for you today. I got a lot to talk about. I'm going to start talking about my home state of Ohio, and in particularly my home county and my home city. I'm going to talk about this for a minute and indulge me, will you? In January, my old representative, who I voted for, his name is Representative Phil Plummer. He's a former sheriff of Montgomery County. He was all up in arms about a Republican working with a Democrat. Here is our representative, or former representative, Here is my former representative talking on a program, Always Right Radio, with Bob Franz. I believe it's a northern radio station here in Ohio, 1420 WHK, something to that effect. Anyway, here's the sheriff talking how angry he is. I mean, he uses terms like dictator and resign. And I mean, he went nuclear on this Speaker Stevens, who worked with Democrats to earn the speakership. May I say that I believe Plummer was in the running for this speakership. He was at least number 2, number 3 man that was going to get that job. But he was going to get some really killer committees too, I'm sure. Anyway, this is him angry at his Republican colleague working with Democrats.
And then I saw it in a couple of social pages, and then I saw it on a headline. Phil Plummer calls for Jason Stevens to resign immediately. That is about as strong as it gets. I saw a lot of criticism. I saw a lot of people talking about how this looked like anything but unification, which is what we were told Jason Stevens was supposed to bring, that Derek Merrin could not. But I only saw one person calling for his resignation. Tell us why.
Yeah, Bob, what he did yesterday, once again, he had to use the Democrats and his gang of 22 to get his package passed through the rules and also to get his leadership team passed. I mean, once again, he disrespected the Republican majority. You know, we were voted to do a job. We were voted in by our constituents to do a job, and he failed to recognize us on the floor, where we simply wanted to drop some amendments to his rules package. And we wanted to do that to eliminate this dictatorship that he has.
Representative Plummer, tell me more about the dictatorship. He's only been on the job for a couple of weeks, really, since January 3rd, when the Speaker Steal of 2023 happened. And, of course, that was when the rules package was supposed to be voted upon. It was supposed to be largely ceremonial and easily agreed upon by the massive supermajority. People who are in chairmanships of committees are going to stay in them, particularly people like Derek Merrin. And none of that happened. So in 2 weeks, we're devolving into a dictatorship. Tell me what that means.
Well, let me walk you through the process. So the electoral process, we spent in the excess of $30 to $40 million statewide to get, statewide elected officials, the Supreme Court, all of us elected. So the citizens in this red state ponied up for the resources to get us elected. We have a majority in the House, a historical majority. And we get this guy who steps in and immediately hands over all the power to the Democrats. So we tell our voters now, hey, thank you for your trust, confidence, and your resources, but we just gave over the power to the Democrats. That was his first move. And in doing so, he sold 3 policies. We all know he sold 3 policies. HJR 6, which will be very detrimental to our state, the backpack bill, and he also gave the Democrats more authority on the redistricting commission. So every move he makes is catering.
These are set. He's the speaker. I mean, what method of change is possible?
We still have our power of our vote. He can't take that away from us. So he needs to pass budgets. He needs to try to pass conservative policies. I don't know if that's possible under his leadership. But we have the power of our vote. And we also had a process yesterday where we elected Derek Merrin as the leader of our caucus, and they elected me as the leader of ORAW, our political arm. So Jason's trying to debate that with us, but he needs to check the Ohio Revised Code that specifically spells out that process. We had the majority vote, and we took those 2 leadership spots.
All right. There it is, folks. That was Phil Plummer on the Bob Franz Always Right Radio program. Now, I'm a Republican. I listened to that episode. I believe I listened to it on a podcast because I listen to Always Right Radio. That's how Republican I am. I listen to a podcast called Always Right Radio. I'm very conservative, fiscally very conservative. And in some aspects, I'm kind of liberal in the social area of politics. So I don't really care what you do in your own home. That's your decision. So maybe I'm more of a libertarian on that. Anyway, this isn't about me. Let me explain a little bit why I'm playing this clip from the radio show, because Representative Plummer was so angry at this Democrat or this Republican for working with Democrats So angry that 11 months later, he endorses a Democrat for a county commission seat. So the current representative was the sheriff in Montgomery County. So he is Montgomery County's guy. He then moved on up to the state house. I was a voter back then in Montgomery County, and I voted for Sheriff Plummer. I voted for him to be our next representative at the state house. And for the most part, I liked him. I really did. But this type of what I call hypocritical politics is what we as Republicans need to stop doing. We need to be honest with integrity. Tell our people exactly what is happening. Don't shy away from controversy at all, but be honest. So these Democrats can't come back and say, you did X, Y, and Z, and how are you voting on E, D, and F, right? I know politicians haven't always been known to be the most honest people in the world. I would love to see that change. I think Republicans could be the leader in that. I honestly do. And I don't normally talk Democrat, Republican. Maybe I do. I don't know. But I don't generally make that a major focus on this podcast. But today I am, okay? Because I'm a Republican in Ohio, and this impacts us. Because if we have one of the top leaders of the Republican Party in Ohio endorsing Democrats, and the other person he endorsed was a rhino. You know what rhino is, right? Republican in name only. I don't believe the other person is even a Republican at all. Registered. Oh, hey, Matt, they're registered Republican. Really? That's interesting. They don't. Let me just break this down for you. So I grew up in Huber Heights, and I had two brothers and a sister at the time. And my sister was friends with a gal in high school by the name of Kate Smalls. Kate Smalls was a fun-loving gal, you know, the life of the party, if you will. And I think there's even a picture of them from Olin Mills with a beer bong. And I don't know, I'd have to find it. But anyway, it was a funny picture. I don't think my parents were too happy, but it was a funny picture. And she earned the moniker of Crazy Kate. Well, Crazy Kate ended up, you know, my sister and them, they fell out or don't talk anymore or whatever. But she ended up doing her own thing. And then just recently, there was a vacancy on the Huber Heights City Council. And who pops up was Kate Baker. So Kate Baker, formerly Kate Smalls, Crazy Kate, is now being appointed to the Huber Heights City Council. When she was appointed, there was a major question asked. If you had $1 million, where would you spend that $1 million? So off the bat, the question's kind of wild that, you know, council members are the ones doing the interviewing and they bring up just $1 million like they just picked it out of the sky. So you know right there that this council spends a boatload of money. But anyway, in Huber Heights, there are two different separate governments. You have the city council who has their funds and taxes that they raise, and then you have the city schools and their funds. It's a separate bank account. It's a separate entity. They have their own school board, their own governing body. And her, Miss Baker at the time, doesn't know how this government works. And she says she would give it to the schools. Well, you could give it to I guess you could gift it to the schools, but what would you do to use it for the city? Her idea was to give it to the schools, which was quite interesting and humorous to a lot of us watching it who know how basic local government works. That was her answer, and that was the person they chose to appoint. Then she ran an election, and she won her election. She won. So people thought, hey, she's doing a bang-up job. Let's elect her. And now she was elected, and now her idea is to run for county commissioner, Montgomery County Commissioner. But if you look back on many of her council votes. Her votes are not in the conservative realm. No, not at all. She votes on a lot of spending measures, that are pet projects from your mayor, if you live in Huber Heights. I believe a lot of other your council members are in on that as well. So right off the bat, she's not fiscally conservative. There was another time she was on the dais talking about how she appreciates the LGBT pride stuff and wanted to make that a notable statement from the dais. There's just a number of things that she has said and done where she either doesn't understand government or is not a conservative. And we have someone in Representative Plummer who prides himself on being a conservative. And as you heard, is someone who said, I can't believe a Republican's working with a Democrat after we spend all this money trying to get Republicans elected. Now he's working with Democrats. Well, what about that hypocrisy? That was something I questioned. And I put it out there. I put it out on Twitter. No response, obviously, other than somebody saying, I don't know, they posted a meme of Biden crying in a crib. I was like, what? I don't know. I don't get it sometimes. But on the Facebook, there's a group called Brick City Town Hall, and there was quite a response. I'll read some of the comments here, and we can talk about them. I simply posted, Republicans endorse Democrats? And then it was a screenshot of the Montgomery County Republican Party endorsing Mary McDonald for city or county commissioner and Kate Baker for Montgomery County commissioner. Mary McDonald is the former mayor of Trotwood, a Democrat. She just lost her race. And that was the first choice the Republicans in Montgomery County chose to run for city commissioner. Their second choice, because that's how they posted it. So she, Miss McDonald's on top, Miss Baker's on the bottom. She's the not conservative Republican running. She's a Republican, Matt. So there was a lot of different comments. One said, looks like it. So yeah, they're doing it. Another person said, go Mary McDonald because, well, they like Mary. Couple people. Let's see. Let me get down to the nitty gritty part. So the co-chair of the Montgomery County Republican Party is a member of this group. And they wrote, Kate has been registered and verified voting Republican for over a decade. Doesn't make him a conservative like Phil Plummer was talking about, but he was in the picture that was taken and posted on the Montgomery County Republican Party's website endorsing them, and he's one of the top Republicans in the state. Mary has a strong history of working extremely well across party lines, but she's not a Republican. She should run as a Democrat and then work across party lines. But no, this is political expediency. And the chair writes a bunch of other things, and it goes on and on and on. And there's just big discussion on Facebook about this with the chair, co-chair chiming in. And she's a nice person, honestly. You know, she comes from a good family, all that good stuff. But listen, folks, this is politics. Nice guys and gals finish last in politics, right? It's not about being nice. It's about doing what's right for the constituents, for the folks that are donating money, donating time, donating energy, because we want our values represented. And when you bring out two candidates, one of them is a Democrat, one of them is a rhino, you are doing nothing for us at all. The only thing you're doing is trying to, I don't know, let's see here, be political savvy and try to sneak in a few folks that may be very moderate. They are moderate to the left leaning side of my political spectrum and a lot of us Republicans' political spectrum, and trying to use that in a city like Dayton, which is predominantly Democrat. So let's do that. But are they going to do the will of the conservative? Do you believe that? I don't believe that. That's why I'm angry about it. That's why I point out the hypocrisy with Representative Plummer saying we can't allow our Republican member to work with Democrats to get himself elected for power. What are we doing? We're turning around. We're endorsing Democrats and rhinos for what? Political power. We need to run on honest values. Anyway, I'll leave it there for that, for this portion of the podcast. And I'm going to play something. We're going to switch gears here. The world is in turmoil, folks. We're trying to figure out what's going on. We got wars in Russia and Ukraine, Azerbaijan and Armenia. You have little skirmishes between the Houthis, backed by Iran, launching missiles to Israel. Israel's fighting Gaza and the Palestinians. There's another new war trying to break out in Guyana in Venezuela. Venezuela is claiming a portion of Guyana in South America, and that portion of land just so happens to have a ton of oil on it, and it's going to make Guyana very rich. And now all of a sudden, Venezuela, the communist country of Venezuela, is looking to take that land. They're going to annex it, much like Huber Heights is, well, not exactly, but Huber Heights is annexing portions of Bethel. But Venezuela's trying to annex portions of Ghana, and this is going to spark a war. And guess what? Brazil is mobilizing troops. Guyana is mobilizing troops. Venezuela is mobilizing. All right. So I go in and talk about the current events of that time, the wars that are coming about at that time during 2023, the latter half of 2023. But the point is made. In Ohio, we have Republicans, leadership Republicans holding the purse to get other Republicans elected, endorsing Democrats, endorsing rhinos. You have the leader of the Ohio Republican Party shutting off comments on X because he doesn't like what he's receiving. Alex Trillifino, right? We have all that stuff going on. The political lines are blurred in America. They really are. They truly are. You and I, if you're a Republican, you and I, we voted for Trump for a reason. Accountability. Where's that accountability? We're a year in. Matt, wait. That's what I keep getting told. Matt, wait. We got 3 years left. When's that accountability coming? That's the question we all must ask ourselves. We all must pressure our government, the government that we said, this is the final, this is it. We got Trump. Things are going to change. When are those things changing? Because we're finding fraud in Minnesota with Democrats, and we're finding fraud in Ohio with Republicans, a deep red state. I invited the new Republican candidate, Casey Putz, whatever. I invited him on the podcast to have a conversation. I sent it out on X. They said, email me. I emailed him December 22nd. Haven't heard back. Maybe he doesn't have half an hour, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever to come on. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, guys, but I do know this. It's up to us. Nick Shirley proved that. And now everybody's going to pile up like, oh, look at how good Nick's doing. And he's doing a fantastic job, but it's up to us because this stuff isn't going to come out unless you start talking about it, because the old talking heads like Alex Jones and all these people, they're in it for the money. I don't care. I don't get paid here. It doesn't matter. It's up to us. We got to figure this out. We got to fight for our republic. And if we don't fight for our republic, what do we have? All right. I'll see you next Tuesday, guys. And this Sunday at 9 p.m., we're going to do a Bible study. And then Tuesday, we'll talk politics. So if you enjoy it, share it with a friend. If you don't, leave a comment that says, "You suck, Matt." That would be awesome too. Who cares? We got to fight for this republic. If not, we're not going to have a beautiful United States of America, 250 years. Man, things are looking dim. And they shouldn't look dim, because Ohio's fully red. The United States is fully red. And, I don't know. I'm not optimistic. I'm very pessimistic at this point, and we'll have some pessimistic podcasts.